Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm pleased to welcome Neil McCallum from AARP Wisconsin. Neil's the driver safety coordinator, right, Neil?
I'm the Wisconsin State Coordinator for the AARP Driver Safety Program.
Super. Neil's been active with Triad for many years and has done a few presentations for us, but he's really terrific. And I thought, let's bring him back here before we get the really nasty weather and ask him to give us a few tips. Neil, why don't you go ahead and take it away here? Maybe I'll try this focus thingy bobber and see if you can't get in on the middle of the picture here, okay?
Go ahead. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for the opportunity to present some of our winter driving safety tips, as well as talk about our AARP driver safety programs that we have available. If we could go ahead, Mike, and share the screen.
Share screen.
We'll go ahead and get going.
All right.
As I indicated, I've been the state coordinator for the AARP Driver Safety Program for 6 years. My tenure as state coordinator will be concluding in January. It's been a pleasure to represent the programs throughout the state, as we have 46 volunteers throughout the state that give our AARP driver safety programs and our smart driver course. Let's go to the next slide. One thing we'd like to stress, while the weather right now is beautiful and sunny, and with the El Nino, we probably are not going to have as much snow, but winter driving takes some special skills, and I'd like to use this opportunity to talk about some of the techniques that we found very helpful. One thing, obviously, is before you venture out, check the weather. With smartphones, with TV programs, various media outlets, we have numerous ways that we can get an update on the weather. And certainly, if you don't have to drive, it's recommended that you don't. And with the population that AARP is dealing with, most of us are retired. So we have the flexibility of being able to say, well, maybe I don't go today. Maybe I go tomorrow.
Maybe I can wait till it warms up a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. And the roads are clear.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. The other aspect is plan your route. Even with the best of conditions, it's always a good idea that we think about planning our route, especially down here in Madison right now with all of our summer construction activity, with the bus rapid transit system. There's many times that I've gone. Again, plan your route, think about where you're going, what the weather is if you're traveling a long way during your travels. One recommendation that will make is the 511 Wisconsin.gov or 511wi.gov website. I have two screenshots off of the website. One is from my computer and one is from my mobile phone. It is an excellent website to judge the conditions of the road. The website gives you construction in the summertime, and it also gives you road conditions at all times. I tried to get a screen capture with snow, but we haven't had enough snow to have the road show pink. but the 511wi.gov is an excellent website, and it's got a whole bunch of different capabilities in doing that. And you can plug in your location and where you're going, and it will give you road conditions throughout throughout the entire state.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is an excellent website.
Yeah. So let's go to the next slide, Mike,
Okay.
please.
Part 2.
Okay. It's not showing up. Okay. Anyway, the emergency kit that we would like to have in your car, especially if you're traveling long distances from here to Milwaukee, say, make sure that you've got a phone charger, a small shovel, kitty litter or sand to place underneath your tires for traction, certainly an ice scraper, first aid kit. It's always good to have a blanket, a flashlight with fresh batteries, and even a white rag. Should you get stuck off to the side of the road, you can put that in your window to say, I'm in distress, please help. They also recommend you have water available, and in case you should be stuck for a long time, you always run the risk of your water freezing in a vehicle if you leave it in it, but you can certainly bring it when you get into your vehicle. Is your car ready to make the travel that you're anticipating? I always take my car in October and just have a general check of the battery. And the days of the service station where you would go in and they say, may I check underneath your hood, check your fluid levels? Those are long gone with self-serve gas stations now. So it's up to you to make sure your car is ready to drive. We always recommend that you do a 360-degree walk around of your vehicle to make sure that your tires are properly inflated. There's no scratches on your vehicle that you weren't aware of. The other thing is to make sure that you don't have any ice buildup on your vehicle. Clear your car of snow completely. It really causes me a lot of concern when I am driving around and somebody has just cleared a small spot so that they can see out, because as you drive, you need total visibility around your total vehicle. And that includes windows, mirrors, especially your lights. You want to clear all the snow off of your lights. And with many of the cars now, with the proximity sensors, you want to make sure that there's no icicles on your proximity sensors, because you'll get a warning on your dashboard that something is there. I had an instance where we had an icicle and I was in the garage and there's something in front of your car. Well, no, there wasn't, but an icicle had come down over the proximity sensor.
Right. Actually, that's really concerning, Neil, because, you know, we got a little fancier car and it has all of these radars and lidars and all kinds of sensors all over it.
Right.
And even just a few snowflakes
Yeah.
can cause problems, you know, with the system of the car. Yeah.
When we indicate to clear your car completely of snow, that includes the roof.
Mm-hmm.
It is a big concern when you're driving along and that car in front of you has a big pile of snow on top of it
Yeah.
and it starts to shift and come down. Another thing we'll talk about when we're driving is you need to be careful about following big trucks too close, because they likely will have a lot of snow on top of them.
Oh, yeah.
And so that can come off.
Yeah.
And then wash your car periodically. It's always good to make sure that your vehicle is as clean as possible. And that includes cleaning the inside of your windshield. During the summertime, a lot of particulates come onto your windshield because of the warm weather in your car or the heat of your inside your car. And so you want to make sure that your inside of your windshield is totally clear. Let's go back up to the vehicle check. Know your vehicle from the standpoint of, is it a front wheel drive sedan or is it a rear wheel drive pickup? Because that affects how your handling of that vehicle is when you're driving in snow.
Oh, yeah. I used to keep a couple bags of sand in the trunk.
If you have a rear
If I have a rear wheel drive.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. And pickups are very, very popular now. And if you have a rear wheel drive pickup, you want to make sure that the back end it's so light that you might want to add some weight of sand in the back end to keep it in contact with the road.
Absolutely. Let's back up to emergency kit. Got a question here from Susan. It says, do we need the entire emergency kit if we're only going to travel a short distance, say 5 miles or less?
Well, the emergency kit is primarily if you were to drive from here to Milwaukee or here to Chicago or here to Minneapolis, where you're on long stretches of roadway where there aren't a lot of services. Should you spin off, get stuck in a snowdrift, that's when your emergency kit is the most prevalent. Or
let's say for a second though, you know, I decide, well, hey, I'd like to go out to fish fry in Pine Bluff this evening.
Yeah.
You know, would that be, you know, if it's snowed, you know, a foot, you know, that's a slippery road.
You're right. It's not a bad idea to have that available in your car.
5 miles.
Yeah.
It might not be a bad idea to put in an extra overcoat, because if you slip off the side of the road, there might not be anybody come by there for a while.
Wow. No, very valid point, Mike.
And if I could share, what I do for my vehicle is I have an emergency kit in there all year round, 365 days a year. It's got like jumper cables. It's more so for like the tire pressure measuring, traction, measure the tread in my tires. I have a cell phone charger, hat, gloves, coat. They just stay in my vehicle. I should probably take them out during the summertime, but I leave all of that stuff in there. Just taking some notes here. I need to put a flashlight, extra batteries. I usually have like a headlamp, but if you leave those batteries in the headlamp, they die really quickly. It's very irritating. But I also have a flashlight that's magnetic, and like if I needed to look under the hood, I could just prop it right up against the hood. But my recommendation is you rather have it and not need it than not have it and need it. That's the philosophy I go by. And in the military, you always say 2 is 1 and 1 is none, because more likely than not, the one flashlight that you have isn't going to work when you need it. So you have to. It may be a little overly cautious, but especially in extreme weather circumstances, there may be a lot of people that went off the road. So emergency services, tow trucks, firefighters, police will have to go in the order that those come in, and then they're prioritized by the severity, the nature of the call. So if you're second guessing grabbing that emergency kit, if it's not already in your vehicle, just grab it. Even if it's a 5 mile, 5 mile drive, you may pass somebody else that's in need that you want to stop out to help, and having that emergency kit can always be beneficial.
And you can pack it into a go bag, so to speak, and always have it available. It's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, and Jake's a police officer, community police officer in Middleton.
Yeah.
So really appreciate him getting on with us today here for the program. Thanks, Jake.
Now, while driving, the next slide.
Okay.
We recommend, and it's a state recommendation, that you maintain a 4-second following distance so that you keep the proper spacing of your car from the car in front of you. In driver's ed, we were always taught 1 car length for every 10 miles. But what's a car length now? Is it a Yugo or is it an F-150 truck? So they've come up with this way of counting as the car in front of you passes a fixed object. You count 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and then you are passing that fixed object, and that is what is considered a safe following distance. Is it always, can you always maintain that? No, but it's a good guideline to keep in the back of your mind. Now, this is for dry roads, optimal conditions.
Yeah.
When we are in a snowy or a winter or rainy situation, we recommend that 4 seconds be increased to 6 or 7 seconds. And if you try it on I-94 or some of the other roads around here, it really works out very well. And it's always a good thing to keep that safe following distance in mind.
The 4-second rule, adjusts for your speed, right? 4 seconds at 20 miles an hour is a shorter distance than 4 seconds.
From a distance, yes, it certainly will. But just keep the 4-second rule in mind,
right? And
then always expect the unexpected, because animals will pop out in front of you, or something will fall off of a car, or you will have a flat tire. It could have a blowout. So always be alert, always expect and keep your hands on the steering wheel in the 3 and 9 position. We used to say 10 and 2, but now we're saying 3 and 9 because you have that airbag in front of you.
Right.
So, and then when you are driving in the winter, it is a state law that you keep back from road clearing vehicles 200 feet. Couple of reasons for that. One, sometimes they turn quickly and to avoid cars parked on the side of the road. The other is many times they are throwing sand or abrasives out the back, and you certainly don't want your car hit by. In Wisconsin, it is a state law that if you're on a multi-lane road and there is an emergency vehicle off to the side of the road with its lights flashing, you must either move over to give them a free lane or slow down if it's absolutely impossible for you to move over. It is a law in Wisconsin, but it's also a law in many, many other states.
Yeah.
that the move over law, and it's very important. It's for the safety of all involved. And we've heard too many stories about an officer responding to an accident whose vehicle is then hit, and nobody wants that,
Right.
especially the officer.
Yeah.
So please be careful, and especially in snowy conditions where you might have a stranded car, and then somebody is coming to their assistance, move over. I generally, in practice, if there's a vehicle off to the side of the road, I will try and move over just out of courtesy, which is safe for all involved.
Right.
Stay in one lane if possible. In a snowy condition where you have a multi-lane road, with most of the traffic in one lane, if you go to switch over to another lane, generally there'll be a hump of ice or snow between the two lanes. And so when if you should need to cross over, you really want to pay attention and grab the steering wheel very tightly and then slowly go across into that other lane as you are climbing up over that hump of snow. And you want to be very cautious when doing that. But in general, stay in one lane if at all possible. Prevent skids. Skids can happen by overbraking, accelerating too fast, or driving too fast. So what we recommend is that you slow down naturally. And if you do feel that you're going into a skidding situation, take your foot off the accelerator and steer in the direction you want to go. Stay off the brakes, because if you are on the brakes, that'll lock up your wheels and you'll be more prone to skid.
Right.
Have sunglasses available. You don't think of sunglasses during the winter time. However, when the sun is out and you have a fresh layer of snow, it gets very bright.
The glare is
terrible. And so that affects your ability to drive safely. And then certainly we all want to arrive safely. That's why we were on the road and to begin with.
Yeah.
Now, this is something I want to talk a little bit about pedestrians and bike safety. And I have noticed, especially as I live down by the campus and use the streets around the center of the city quite a bit. With the increase in nighttime, with it getting dark now at 4:30 and staying dark till 7 in the morning, there's a lot more pedestrian traffic and a lot more bicycles on the road in the dark. So if we can go to the next slide.
Watch out for pedestrians.
We're going to watch out for pedestrians. Absolutely. As we age, our eyesight tends to diminish. So we really want to be careful during these wintertime hours on watching out for pedestrians. One of the concerns that I have, especially down on the campus, most wintertime coats are dark or black. Many times hoods are worn. Many times the students have earphones in, and they're also looking at their devices, and they're not really paying attention to the fact that they're crossing a road.
Mhm.
And so it really is, we have to be very, very careful about looking out for pedestrians. We have a lot of pedestrian blinkers now, which help signify crossing, roadway crossings. However, many times people don't utilize that. I can't, I hate to even try and count the number of times recently that I've seen people on bicycles at night with no lights on.
No lights, no safety vest,
No safety vest,
dark clothes,
and you have to be extremely
very
vigilant
careful.
and careful. It is really something that as we age, well, everybody needs to be careful, but especially as we age and our eyesights are of concern, we really need to be very, very careful in a pedestrian setting. Are there any questions on any of these techniques that I've talked about at this
Question
point?
here, it asks, is it possible to slow my car down by simply shifting to a lower gear? So I'm thinking about, this might be a really dumb question. No, it's not, because that is, what do you think, Jake? Is that a good way to slow your car down, by just shifting down? A lot of cars allow you, this automatic shifting. I found that a very dependable way to slow the car.
Yeah, so I see the next part is that she only sees a drive option, so I'm guessing it's an automatic transmission, but there are, like even my vehicle, it's an automatic transition, but then it has that other mode where I accidentally do it sometimes, where I just bump the shifter, and then there's like safety precautions, so it's not fully manual mode. It won't let me rev up the RPMs to a really high rate. But I can still shift it manually. I wouldn't worry about that, because when you start sliding, your heart rate's going to go up and you're going to feel some stress. I would just take your foot off the brake, just as Neil said, turn your steering wheel in the direction that you want to go. If you start looking down at the shifter, especially if you don't do it every day, if it was a manual vehicle, I'd say that might be a good idea. It's good to do that to help on wearing on your brakes for a manual vehicle. But if your vehicle's automatic, I would stick to what Neil said of just removing your foot from the gas. Not slamming on the brakes is very important.
Right.
And then turning the steering wheel into the direction that you want to go and not overcorrecting. What Neil said was awesome. He was just focusing on what you should do, and not trying to create any bad habits, especially I've done it. I've gone off the road plenty of times. I've done a lot of driving during the winter time.
Yep.
And I'm not from this area, so it's Wisconsin winters are terrible. And just not overcorrecting or panicking is huge, and that will help avoid your vehicle will gain traction at some point. So that's why it's important just to steer in the direction that you want to go and not on the gas or on the brake, because you don't want your tires to lock up and you don't want to accelerate. I've even responded to crashes where someone accidentally slams on the accelerator instead of the brake, just because they're just tensed up. So removing your foot from that pedal will allow the vehicle to do its job. The technology these days in these vehicles for safety measures it's amazing. But yeah, if your vehicle's an automatic, don't worry about the gears. If it's a manual and you're used to that, that's a great option. But I'm guessing that it's an automatic transmission. I wouldn't worry about that. I'd just stick to the advice that Neil gave. That was great advice.
Thank you. That very appropriate. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, The next slide.
Okay,
AARP has a driver safety program. And what I'd like to do is talk about 4 of our course offerings that are very relevant to old AARP. Smart driver program has been in business for about 40 years now. And we offer a smart driver course, a car fit course, a we need to talk, and a smart driver tech course. So if we can go to the next slide,
there. Okay.
we'll try that.
Yep.
Our AARP smart driver course is a 4-hour, and I like to refer to it as a refresher of all the good things we learned in driver's ed.
Right.
It's a classroom course. It's not behind the wheel. Everybody passes, but it's just a good refresher for all the things we learned in driver's ed that we have tended to forget over the years.
Are you doing those in both in-person and online?
The course can be done online.
Mm-hmm.
However, we find that the in-person courses are much more beneficial because you get the interaction like we're getting here. We primarily offer them from March until June, and then we pick up again in September and offer and go into November. Right now, we're booking our classes in March and April, and I have several classes in the Madison area if anybody's interested. The class costs $20 for AARP members, $25 for non-members. It's 4 hours of a lot of fun.
The best deal on the books is when you take it during our car check event in September, right? Smart Motors paid
Yes.
people to take it.
Yeah,
it was a great deal.
Smart Motor Toyota picked up the tab for I think we had 9 participants.
They're a generous bunch.
Yeah. So it was very good. And hopefully we'll get that going again this next year as well.
Yeah.
And then Mike mentioned the Car Fit event, which is our other program. When you're in your car, if you are comfortable and the car fits you well, you are confident, and that's what we want you to be, confident in your car. So Car Fit helps us help you adjust your car specifically for your body, and so that you can operate that vehicle safely, and you feel confident when you're on the road. We look at the side mirrors, we look at blind spots. It's important that we have 10 inches between your chest and the steering wheel so that the airbag can properly deploy. So we'll work with you to adjust your seat so that you can have that 10 inches.
Getting the seat adjusted, having your shoulder strap properly aligned, having the seat back.
Yeah.
The correct angle, really makes a big difference. I know a lot of people, my neck isn't as flexible as it used to be. I used to be able to do almost a 180,
Correct.
But, I can't twist around nearly to check out that back blind spot like I used to. And these days it's got a little bit easier with the blind spot detectors,
Correct.
It's
But
nice when you have people like your guys at Car Fit,
and it's especially important if you share a car, because to get the seat adjusted right, how many of it even touched your headrest since you bought the vehicle? It's important that be adjusted. So, yeah. So that's our Car Fit program. We also have We Need to Talk. which is that conversation that we all try to avoid with a loved one that says, maybe you shouldn't be on the road, but we give you some techniques that help have that conversation to make it comfortable for everybody. Here in Madison and the surrounding area, we're so fortunate to have so many resources like RSVP to assist with driving when it's time to give up the car. So we need to talk. Class talks about alternatives to driving, the importance of driving, and alternatives.
A happy customer out there, Neil.
Yeah.
Ulrika says smart driver course is really worth the time. CarFit's also recommended. Only takes a few minutes, and it really helped her get fitted into her car better. So, and that's true.
Yeah.
When we had CarFit at our car check event, we had 16 people go through there in about an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
We got compliment after compliment, from people who are just happy to get someone to help them get set up in their car properly. And
our cars are becoming more and more complicated as they become more safe.
yeah,
So getting it adjusted properly is extremely important.
another one from Susan. Boy, you've got more happy customers. Yeah, I love to see that. Yeah, and the thing is, if you have a couple of people doing the car, using the same car, often you'll have two different buttons, one for position, driver number one and driver number two.
Mm-hmm.
Just figuring that out.
Exactly.
I'm sure they can help you with that a little bit, get everything set up so that it automatically adjusts.
Now, as our fourth program is Smart Driver Tech, and this is available online and it's totally free. Or we also have it in-person class. But this, has been mentioned, our cars are becoming more and more complicated with more and more safety features. And our Smart Driver Tech program talks about, in general, all the safety features that are out there. So that when you go to purchase a new car, you can take in this shopping list and say, these are the features that I am interested in. And they might call it something different. However, they know the intent, and you can buy a car that has the features that you want, the safety features. And so Smart Driver Tech looks forward, say, these are the features that are available now. This is what's coming up. And we also offer a smart driver course or smart driver tech course for electric vehicles, because that is a different animal than our gas powered or fossil fuel powered cars.
One of the new tech features I found most helpful is the new version of cruise control, where it's distance control.
Adaptive.
Adaptive. Exactly.
Adaptive cruise
And being able to keep back away from these cars, it's extremely important. On an icy surface, you have no traction.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's only a matter of.
Well, and in inclement conditions, it's best to turn off your adaptive cruise control because you want to have as much control as possible of your vehicle, direct control. Yeah,
I guess that's true. We haven't had our car in the winter yet, so I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
Jacob, what do you guys find, when you're running into accidents, are people using these new features?
Yes, they are. And the accidents that we come into, these features don't have a role. A lot of the accidents that happen is like failure to maintain control of vehicle, following too closely to a vehicle. So failing to maintain control could be like traveling too fast for the weather conditions, following too closely is not giving enough space, and then inattentive driving are like the top three that come to mind. Inattentive driving could be looking at your phone, not paying attention, not looking both ways. Just, with all the technology, especially kids these days, people are very used to looking at their phone, adjusting the music, entering in their address for GPS. So these safety features do work, but if you're not doing the basics of paying attention to the roadway, traveling at a safe speed for the weather conditions and the type of road that you're traveling on, and following a vehicle too close, you may, like, if you're not paying attention, you're not even notice that these alerts or warnings are going off. But they do work. I do utilize a lot of these in my own personal vehicle, like the blind spots, especially. Just with on like the multiple lane roadways, like if you're not used to driving on the belt line and you drive on the belt line during a high traffic volume time, usually when you pass somebody, you're only looking over one shoulder, but people are flying, they're speeding in all 3 to 4 lanes. So I love the technology is amazing. It's just when people crash, there's usually some other situation going on, whether it's failure, like the things I mentioned before.
Yeah,
Right.
we can,
Ulrika asks, do all states have a 511 option?
no, I went ahead and typed in 511 Illinois .gov and nothing came up.
You're on your own in Illinois.
Yeah, but Indiana does. Likely they have a similar system, but it is not universal throughout the United States that it's 511
Yeah.
WI or
511, that's actually a number you can call, isn't it? Can't you
correct.
just call somebody up and say, how are the roads up in Waupaca today?
Yep. But it's available on the smartphone as a 511 app.
I didn't know it has an app.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I have it on my phone right here.
All right. Well, you're set to head to the woods. No, that's very convenient then to know.
Are there any other questions?
Feel free to chime in. We've got still a little more
If you
time.
want to kill the presentation and get,
Let me see here if I can. If you want to get in touch with Neil, he's out there, feel free to send me a note and I'll hand your email address over to you. He's full of information and always a lot of fun to chit chat with. What else? We still got a few minutes.
I can't stress enough the importance of being vigilant at night, especially around the campus, University Avenue. People are not paying attention from a pedestrian standpoint. And we don't want to be responsible for an accident.
There have been a lot of pedestrian and bicycle accidents.
Correct.
Here, and people need to be careful.
Yeah. And think about when you're out walking, even walking your dog, you want to be observable. Wear a reflective armband, or I used to live in Washington, D.C. and take the bus home at night, and walking to my house, I had a novelty pen that lit up, and I would carry that in my hand as I walked home so that vehicles could see me.
Well, I do see a lot of joggers first thing in the morning. They've got on their reflective vest or reflective armbands and the little headlamps.
Absolutely.
Which are, those aren't very expensive, and a reflective vest is a few bucks. You know, and that can save you. We had a program not too long ago. It says I could not find a phone number for Illinois traffic. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Jake had just It's every man for himself.
Yeah, so I did, yeah, don't go to Illinois. That's all I say. Stay in Wisconsin, you'll be fine. But I did find a website link. It's www.gettingaroundillinois.com/traveler info. So if you click on that link, I'll test it out. It should take you to like something similar to the 511 website in Wisconsin here. Just like the road closures, roadblocks, you know, I think there's different filters that you can search through. So it's very similar, but they just don't have the 511.
Yeah. Thank you. No.
Yeah, that, let's see what else. I mean, I've seen 511 in other places, and it's nice that there's somebody you can call
Yeah.
if you're taking a road trip in the winter like that. I mean, we used to go home for Christmas, you know, and it's, you know, from here all the way to western Nebraska, that's a long day trip.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the road conditions change a lot, and you really have to.
But plan your route, and that's the most important thing. And with many of the apps that we have now on our phones, we can literally visualize the entire trip through an app.
Mhm.
And very important, and you can check road conditions.
Few more
Google, yeah.
great recommendations from Ashley. Federal DOT should be working on getting, they should be,
Yeah.
but good luck on getting exactly what we need out of. And the government's big business. Let's see, what else can we, anything else? Any questions finally?
Yeah.
Well, Susan, thank you. You know, I'm glad everyone was able to join us here today.
Very much appreciate it. Thank you. And be safe out there.
All right. Well, thanks, Jake, for joining us. Thanks, everyone,
Exactly.
for meeting here today. All right, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.